Good evening, everyone. I am Aparna from the team of the Nature Sci, and I welcome you all to the webinar on Introduction to Primates in India, Ecology and Conservation. The Nature Sci, powered by Wildlife Arc, is a group of nature enthusiasts who wish to share their knowledge and experience with the world. We strive to bring informative and educational content from the tree living world to the city dwellers. Their motto is to empower environmentalists by creating opportunities not only for budding environmentalists, but also the people related to this field and also the ones who want to join in through their various offline and online programs. The Nature Sci works on bridging ecology and economy. We highly appreciate working with ecology and nature enthusiasts who wish to bring change by spreading education and awareness. Today's session is one such attempt, and we have a number of such events in the line as well. Now, coming towards today's event, you might know India is home to 25 species of primates. So, in today's session, we will look more into the lives of primates and their conservation efforts. For this, we have with us our speaker, Mr. Arijit Pal. He is a conservation biologist and behavior ecologist with experience in conducting social science and human geography projects. Over the last 10 years, he has been involved with and led a variety of human environment system research and conservation projects on multiple taxa, including primates, elephants, rodents, birds, and herpetofauna, successfully coordinating the academic, organizational, logistic, social, and financial aspects of all field research and conservation activities necessitated by these projects across the Indian subcontinent. It is an honor to have you here with us, sir. Before I hand over the session to our speaker, I request all the participants to keep themselves muted when not speaking, so as it does not create any background disturbance during the session. And if you have any queries, we encourage that you can directly ask or type it in the chat box, and we will take up all the questions by the end of the session. Thank you all for joining, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So first of all, I'm immensely thankful to this Nature Sci for conducting such a session on the Indian primates. And second, I am very much thankful to all of the participants who are joining here. So first of all, happy International Primates Day. I think you all know that 1st September we celebrate as International Primates Day. It started from 2005. I think US-based NGO Animal Defense International started it. After that, it grew and all international globally. And all primate researcher, primate enthusiasts and lovers, they celebrate it. So I am very happy and honored to be present here today and talk about Indian primates. So today's topic is Introduction to Indian Primates, Ecology and Conservation. So it is a very basic fundamental information of Indian primates. I will like to talk about it in a very foundational way, which will be, I guess, for the people who know about primates and who doesn't know about primate, they all will be a little bit comfortable if I start from sketches, and it is a very basic talk going to be. So this talk is divided in two sections. In first, I will talk about 30 minutes, the distribution and diversity of Indian primates, global primate population trend, common threats, and conservation management practices. And lastly, if time allows, I will introduce you people to a primate species of India, primate species, which live far away from Indian subcontinent. So while going through my slides and discussing all this thing, I'll stop my video because sometimes due to the weak connection, it get lost my audio. So I'll stop it and I'll start talking about it. So fast. So yes. First, we'll talk about primates. Who are primates? Right? We are primates, and also monkeys are primates. So primates generally divided into two parts. One is the humans, and second is all the non-human primates. So primates is a order in mammals. Like there are other orders like rodents here, which represents rodents, and Chiroptera represents bats, Angulata represents odd and even-toed ungulates, Cetacean represents dolphins, and so on and so forth. So in mammals, who are the primates then? What are the morphological characteristics do they have? First is big brain. Big brain, it doesn't mean that brain is bigger. It's the brain-body ratio. The ratio is higher. In case of primates, it is higher. And second one is opposable thumb. Means in case of primates, their thumbs, means in hands, their thumbs are movable, and that can be freely movable. And prehensile hand and feet. Being arboreal mammals, primates has a very firm grip and very flexible work they can conduct through their hand. And stereoscope is 3D vision, high parental investment, and we all know about their behavioral flexibility, how in human habitat they have been adapting themselves, even though so much anthropogenic pressure is there, and lots of innovative behavior we see evolving in this habitat. So now we'll quickly talk about primate taxonomy. It's nothing complex, just a very simple way I try to tell you about since we have to know the diversity of primates, we'd like to know it. Primates in two suborder, that is Stepsilurine and Haptorine. In Stepsilurines means the wet-nosed primate, wet-nosed monkey. These monkeys whose nose are wet. And there are two parts. One is Lemuroidy, another is Lorisidae. In Lemuroidy, that represent lemurs. And we know lemurs are only found in the Madagascar. The lemurs have a different kind of evolution that we'll talk maybe later. And Lorisidae, we know Loris, galagos are come to this section. And India, we have two Loris species we'll talk about just after some time. And Haptorine, there are three parts. One is Tarsioformes, where Tarsiers and Tarsiers nose present in India. Platyrrhini means that flat-nosed primate, and their nostrils are sideways. So all the New World monkeys, which monkey found in Southern American continents, like capuchin, all monkey, spider, holler, and marmoset and tamarids, they are coming to the Platyrrhini. And Catarrhine, they are again divided into two parts, Sarcopithecus and Homonoides. Sarcopithecus is the old world monkey who have tail. Leaf monkeys mean langur, proboscis monkey, colobus monkey, and chick-paws monkeys also like guanos, Indian macaques, and baboons. They come to this section. And Hominoides means the ape, both lesser apes and greater apes who do not have any tail, they come to this section. Now let's just quickly say that about primate evolution. So we all of us are a little bit familiar with this kind of photographs where we see that human evolved from other primates, especially chimpanzees. Is it true? So actually it is not. Though chimpanzee and we have a very close relationship, and the relationship is chimpanzee and human has the common ancestor, means our great grandfather and chimpanzee's great grandfather the same, and they are extinct now. And now if we quickly look at the radiation of primate evolution here, we can see that primate evolved around 63 million years ago in Eocene time. It's even after the extinction of a dinosaur. And the first radiation you can see in 63 million years, first lemur evolved, and then tarsiers, and then New World monkey, then come to the Old World monkey and apes. And here if we see that human and pan, where chimpanzee and bonobo come to the pan species, and Homo human. So they both have a close, sorry, just a minute. They both here somewhere, they have bifurcated between each other. So the common ancestor of human and chimpanzee, pan species, are same, and they are living, and in there we have bifurcated, and our evolution happened. Okay, this is the primate evolution. So can you tell me that what are the closest relatives of primate? Non-primate closest relatives of human. They are come under order Scandinavian. They are the tree shrew. We know in India we have two tree shrew species found in India. One is Martyrs tree shrew, another is Nicobar tree shrew, found in only Nicobar. That is Tupaia nicobarica. So tree shrew are the closest non-mammal, non-primate relatives of human being. And previously, they also been considered as primates, though there are a lot of doubts and debates, but now they are considered as a separate order. So India has 25 species of primate and counting. So among them, 2 lorises, 10 langurs, 11 macaques, and 2 gibbons. Now we'll take a quick look about diversity and distribution of this primate species in India. First, we'll talk about lorises. So lorises, first primates, socially also primate is very diverse. So lorises are the solitary living primates. So they live alone. But again, mating season or mating time, male and female, they stay together for some time, they copulate, and definitely after the birth, male again go to their own territory. And I would like to say that lorises are also territorial. Most of the primates are territorial. Loris also being solitary, they are also very territorial. And the females have their own territory, and some males also has their own territory, but sometimes males territory overlap among 2 or 3 females territory. They are nocturnal, so only active at night. They feed on mostly insect, tree sap, gums, and also sometimes plant shoots and fruits. So there are 2 loris species in India: Bengal slow loris and Malabar slender loris. Slender loris. So Bengal slow loris, Nycticebus bengalensis, it's a endangered primate. Like other loris, it is also nocturnal. And it is completely arboreal, lives on tree, and nighttime it feeds on tree sap, tree gum, and sometimes also insect and fruits. And the most interesting part of this primate is this is the only venomous primates, but they don't have venom on their teeth or their claw. They have brachial gland on their armpit. So when the loris get threatened, they lick their brachial gland, and from their teeth capillary, they suck the brachial secret. And while next they bite to some other to their threats or other animal, so they inject those venoms. And now there are slender loris. Slender loris species. There is 2 subspecies of slender loris found in India. They are clay slender loris. Malabar slender loris, found in the mostly the moist area of the Western Ghats, and in Eastern Ghats and drier part of the Western Ghats, we found Mysore slender loris. The both species, this is Malabar slender loris, this is Mysore slender loris. They look alike, but if you see their capital, this patches, it's darker in Malabaricus, means Malabar slender loris, than the Mysore slender loris. And weight wise also Mysore slender loris is a little bit bigger than the Malabar slender loris. So these species also nocturnal. They mostly live on insect, also shoots of plants, and they live solitarily. And during mating time, male female come together. They are very much highly territorial. So territorial fight is very common in lorises and all other primates also. Now I'll come to langurs. So India is home of around 10 langur species, but I will discuss a little bit about it sooner. So langurs are also diurnal primates. They are not nocturnal. Only daytime they get active. They are arboreal primates, though sometimes we see langur to come in ground, but it's maybe due to their adaptation with this anthropogenic habitat. But most of the time, if you see, they live on treetops, and they are folivorous primates, means they eat leaves, and they live in a multi-male, multi-female groups, and sometimes single male, multi-female groups, and they have some temporary all-male groups. Well, all-male group are not generally always stable. So in case of langur, what happened that after getting birth, if it is a male individual, it disperses from the group. If it is a female individual, it generally stay in the group. It's also for most of the primates that we call female phalopatric primates. So in langurs, there you can see the Nepal grey langurs. It's also called Central Himalayan langur, which is Seminopithecus cristatus. It's a least constant langur species. Its distribution, you can see that upper part of Himachal and Jammu Kashmir, and also here in Sikkim. And then it's come to our most common langur, that is northern plain grey langur. It's called Seminopithecus entellus. It's also called grey Hanuman langur or northern Hanuman langur. It's a least constant species. And then we come to the Nilgiri langur. So if you see, Nilgiri langur is distributed only in the Western Ghat, moist Western Ghat patches. Rather than Nilgiri langur, other langur has a broader distribution range. So yes, other langur can live in a multiple types of habitat, and their habitat range is higher. But for Nilgiri langur, they only live in this kind of moist evergreen forests. And then it's come to the tuft grey langur, that's Seminopithecus prior, and black-footed grey langur, it is Seminopithecus hypericus. So yes, apart from this 5 langur, these all come to the Seminopithecus species. You may have also heard of other species of Seminopithecus. One is Kashmir grey langur, which is found in the Chamba Valley, Himachal Pradesh, here somewhere. And there are other species like Seminopithecus dorsumeri, which is the western part of this area. It's found. And also another one species is Seminopithecus hector, which is lesser hill langurs. It's found sometime here and here. But this distribution, what I'm showing you, it's based on a recent study in 2022 published by IISc Bangalore, where they found that Nepal grey langur or Central India grey langur, lesser grey langur, and also Seminopithecus ajax, these three may not be 3 different species. But there are, again, lots of debates are there, and we have to study more. We have to find out in genetic study that how there are differences there. But because to be a species, some community need not to be, produced viable, fertile individual while they are meeting with other species. For this case, always it might not be happening. So this is the thing. So apart from Seminopithecus, there is other species, that is Trachypithecus. In Trachypithecus, we have 3 species found in India, and all 3 are in the northeast region. First one is the golden langur, that is Seminopithecus key, and then capped, which is only found in the southern part of Brahmaputra and eastern part of the Manas River, and also some part of Bhutan, apart from India, in Assam. And then capped langur, it has a wider distribution, and Ferris leaf monkey also found in Tripura. One thing I would like to say when I am showing you the distribution map of these primates, these are quite broader, which is the distribution map I have occupied from, I got it from IUCN. But we have to remember it that these all primate species, they have their specific needs. So that's why they live in some pockets around within these areas. Not this is that anywhere within this area you will get and find capped langur. This is not the case. As well as for Ferris leaf monkey, the case is the same. Now we'll talk about macaque. I think macaque is the most common primates what we see in our everyday life. So there are around 11 species of macaque so far discovered from India. First, we'll go for the two common macaque species: rhesus macaque, Macaca mulatta, and bonnet macaque, Macaca radiata. Macaca radiata has two subspecies: Macaca radiata and Macaca radiata diluta. But who are from this part of India? We all have seen rhesus macaque, and in southern part of India, we all have seen bonnet macaque, because these macaque species are prevalent in most of the cities and major protected areas as well. So these species, they are quite commensal and quite adapted to human habitat. But interestingly, here what is happening, this Macaca mulatta's distribution is slowly expanding towards south, and Macaca radiata's distribution is, since Macaca mulatta is comparatively little more aggressive and body weight wise also bigger. So due to that, there's it is the distribution range of Macaca radiata is squeezing little bit. It's a very interesting, there are very interesting study. I'll talk you maybe later. So now there are other few macaque species. We'll see. Macaca munjala, it is one of the newest macaque species. It's called Arunachal macaque. It's then Macaca assamensis, it's also expanded beyond India. You have to remember that. Macaca silenus, all of our most favorite Indian primates, I guess, that is lion-tailed macaque, found in the fragmented patch of Western Ghats. And another is Macaca fascicularis ambrosius, which is called Nicobar long-tailed macaque or Nicobar crabeating macaque. It is endemic to 3 small islands of Nicobar. Now, also in India, northern pigtail macaque and stump-tailed macaque found. Both of these macaque species are vulnerable, though they have the wider distribution here. But again, I am pointing out that we don't find them in all this part of this among this distribution range. Only in some pockets they are found. So apart from this species, there are 3 species of macaque as described. One is white-cheeked monkeys, Macaca leucogenes. But unfortunately, we do not have any distribution range yet. But in China, we know the distribution, but in India, we don't know the distribution range yet. And Tibetan macaques, the same thing. We have there are some sporadic reports of Tibetan macaques, but we don't know that their total distribution range yet. And last year also there is a new macaque species called Selai macaque, Macaca selai, which is Sela macaque, also discovered in Arunachal near Sela Pass. But again, we don't have any information. But after seeing that, new discovery, always it's amazed us that being a so big mammal species and conspicuous species as well, we don't know a lot about this primate. There are a lot of things to be done and to understand about them. So now gibbons. So Western Hulak gibbons, Hulak hulak, it is an endangered gibbon and the only lesser ape or ape family species found in India. It has a wider distribution in southeast, northeast India, northeast India, but again, they live in rainforest and completely arboreal animals. So due to the habitat fragmentation, they are in a highly risk and one of the endangered animal of India. So also we have seen that some places there are mentions that yes, apart from Western Hulak gibbon, Eastern Hulak gibbon also present in India. Maybe so. But again, in 2022, a new study from CCMB, they showed that all over the distribution, they scats of droppings of gibbons and they analyzed, they found there is no difference between them. Means these are all the same Western Hulak gibbon, they haven't found yet any Eastern Hulak gibbons from this area. So So far, we cannot confirm that Eastern Holocaust is present in India. The different morph of Western Holocaust might be, which we have thought of Eastern Holocaust, Western Holocaust, that might be some morph of Western Holocaust. But again, there are more study we should do to understand this distribution of both species, Eastern and Western Holocaust. So now, what is primatology? Very simple. Primatology is study of primates. The herpetology is study of herpetopona. Primatology is study of primate. But in case of primatology, it is quite, I say, wider than studying other animals. Why? That I will just explain. First, taxonomy. For most of the different group of species, we study taxonomy. Then biology also. That is very understandable, taxonomy and biology. Then population ecology, we understand population ecology of primates to know about their recent population trend and to estimate their conservation status, to prioritizing their conservation. And behavioral ecology, to understand their behavior, that helps us in their conservation, as well as that also help us to understand how primate evolve, how the social behavior in primate evolve. And then again, evolution or psychology or anthropology. So these are interdisciplinary one way in another. Since we have evolved from primates, some of our social behavior, some of our behavior, always we want to understand the evolutionary trajectories of this behavior. And by studying our closest living relatives, it's macaque or it is chimpanzee, maybe we'll be able to put some light on how human and finally evolve, and those behavior today we see in our socio-cultural dynamics, how they have evolved, how we become so much skillful, how we have learned to live, how we have put ourselves beyond wild animals and dominating this world. So evolution, anthropology, as well as comparative psychology are the way to study. So now in this map, we'll check that what is the recent trend. It's a research article published, metadata analysis published in 2017. So the information is about up to 2017 we have. So around there are 550 primates are there. Here 510 primate species. They have done this analysis upon. So this upper map is showing the richness of primate. You can see that blue, deep blue means only one primate species is there, or from deep blue to lighter blue, it's getting higher, and the red hues, all those areas, these are the highest primate richness is there. Sorry. Yeah, so if you see the distribution, apart from Asia, Southeast Asia, Asian, this area, and African, southern part, as well as Southern America's upper part, there is no primate in Europe, in North America, also in Argentina on this part, and also in Egypt on these areas of Africa. So if we see primates distribution is very high in South America, Central South America, some part of Brazil also come under here, Central Africa, sorry. And in India, if you see only in Western Ghat and some part of the Northeast India, Arunachal Pradesh mostly, there is a quite good primate resource, but rather than that, it's higher in other parts. So now if we see that what is the recent trade of primates, you can see globally around 55% of primate species, around 350 primates, above 300 primate species, they are globally threatened. And more than 75% of the primate species, their population are declining. And if we come to India, we'll see that Asia also, Asia, we'll see that it is far even worse than the global scenario, where 73% of primate species are endangered and 95% of primate species population are declining. So this is, you can see that how where it is going. So in next slide, it will be little here that how it is right now. You can see here. Next slide, you will see why it is. So if we see from 1990 to 2000 trend, how the forest cover is depleting, and also encroachment in forest land, conversion in forest land to agricultural field, how it is increasing. And this is a map where the above map is again talking about the richness of and distribution of primates all over the world. And the second map is showing that how the agricultural expansion is also presence in those primate distributed area and also non-primate distributed areas. And this map C, this is representing what will happen after 21st century. This is again worst case scenario, I should tell you. And in worst case scenario, if we are not doing anything, we are not protecting it, in the end of 21st century, this will be the distribution. In India, you can see that most of the part, primate will get wiped out. And the same way it will happen in Africa and South America. So yeah, habitat loss is one of the major reasons why primates are in threats and their populations are declining. And the second one is again poaching and illegal trafficking. We have seen in news oftenly that some exotic primate species, mostly from Southeast Asia's primate, got seized in Northeast India, in Assam, or some West Bengal, because this is a trade route of illegal trafficking those primate species. So India, we don't have that culture of primate species, keeping them in pet, but in Europe and mostly Europe and US, it is there. And poaching, apart from poaching, that is another one thing is poaching and hunting also, because in India, people don't directly hunt or generally poach primates, apart from some pockets where native people do that. But everywhere in the protected area and also non-protected area where primates are available and other wildlife are available, people put snares and traps to catch other species. And primates, being a very much explorer, they get caught in this trap. And you can see here, this is a picture where a Nicobar long-tailed macaque in Nicobar Island, its feet is stacked in the snare, which is meant for monitor lizard. And so this is the thing happens. Poaching and illegal traffic will definitely a major risk for this primate conservation. And human primate interaction. So most of the primates, if we consider Indian primate distribution, so about 80% of primate home range all over India is in human dominated area, which we also call human primate interface. Primates are living with humans for thousands of years. But then what changed? The change is the relationship. Previously, it was a commensal relationship. Now it's become a competitive, where human and primates, I think in both ways, they believe that for resource they compete. But previously it was not there. It was a commensal relationship. And now since human population is increasing and natural habitat for primates, means the trees and vegetation and open areas are decreasing, so primates are forced to live with human being and the probability of interaction with human is increasing. So there you can see a very fast and compassionate big photograph where someone giving water to a thirsty primate. It's a bonnet macaque juvenile individual. It's in a temple. I got that photograph. So what do you think from this picture? Should we do it? Should we entertain it? What? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. because these are the reason for that nowadays human primate interaction is becoming an issue, because the human interaction towards primate ultimately leads to primate interaction towards human, where if you give them food, they don't understand that, now you are in a good mood, or you have some food, you are giving them food. And other time when you are carrying a food, but you don't have any intention to give it them, they might, go and show some snack behavior and take it from you. Because our behavior ultimately help them to adopt this kind of strategies. Apart from that, also another risk of interaction is primates being, exposed to human source food, and human source food change their behavior as well as their health. They become obese sometimes, that are not maybe nutrient enough from them. And another one thing is the chance of transmission of genetic disease. And in India, we also see that another thing, that is human primate conflict. So, is it really a conflict? There is a question mark, I believe. It's again what I have told, that primates interaction towards human, how human are interacting towards primate, against that, how primates are evolving. And another way again, their habitat is getting constructed, so they are getting fragmented in different part of this kind of anthropogenic habitat, and to get their amends, to um, get the food and necessary things, they are adopting this kind of behavior. And yeah, I was just previously telling about the infectious disease, the transmission. So generally what happened, humans lives with their human landscape along with their livestock and peri-domestic wildlife landscape. Generally, primates live in this kind of area, but interaction increase with them, uh, also induced their interaction towards human, which also increase the probability of human primate interaction, as well as chance of this transmission of this disease. In India, we all have heard of Kashmir forest disease. It's actually KFT virus, which actually harbor within a hard tick. And in all life cycle of this tick, larva, nymph, adult, and eggs, they transmit the virus. When this tick bite a rodent or a primate, it transfer as well as the virus also get transferred to them. And sometimes while the tick uh, human being touches them, also it transmits to human. But again, if you see, the interesting thing is human are the in transmitter, but from human to human, there is no transmission of this disease. But from primate to primate, it will transmit, and from primate to human, it will transmit. Apart from KFT, also we have heard of Zika virus in South America, as well as Ebola, how it affected the East African gorillas. So these are really the concerns. So what could be the management plan for that? Very simple. First one is population assessment. We have to assess. Still, we are finding new primate species. So we can understand that we don't have very good idea about the population of this primate, apart from a few charismatic or a few primate where researchers are studying. And not only a specific time, what is the population? We have to understand the population trend. To understand the population trend, we have to do long-term monitoring. In this case, I'll tell you about a case study about bonnet macaque. We all know bonnet macaques are distributed widely in southern India, and if you go in most of the southern India city, you will find bonnet macaque. But again, our research from Mysore University shows that in last 25 years, 65% of urban bonnet macaque population and around 45% of rural bonnet macaque population has declines. And based on these studies, now hornet macaque, who were previously the least concerned species, who did not have any need for conservation, now become a vulnerable species. So, though we believe that hornet macaques are very common, their population is severely, rapidly declining. So we have to understand one thing. So though we are seeing this animal, they are very common, but the commons are not maybe that much common. And I talked about the conflict that human animal, their intolerance and the interaction. This is going to be one of the major conservation conflict while we are trying to conserve primates in India. We have to come up with different innovative approaches for primate conservations. And the most important part is much more to study. We have to study a lot about this primate. We have to put a lot of effort in field as well as for their population, not only population, their behavior, their ecology, and also all other aspects. And for that, I'll urge all of you to get involved in primatology. It's also very interesting subject. So now I'll quickly talk about the primate species, Indian primate species, which live far away from human being and face tsunami and also uses tool. In fact, this is the only Indian primate species tool. This picture, if you see this picture, I will just explain a little bit. It's a tsunami affected rainforest. So suppose a species which is to live in such a rainforest, and after tsunami, their habitat is destroyed like that for this catastrophe. So what will happen to them? So I'll talk about those animals. They are Nicobar long-tailed macaque. They only distribute in 3 small Nicobar islands: Great Nicobar, Little Nicobar, and Kachar. So till 2000, they were data deficient. After that, there is a study done in 2004, and their population size estimated at around 4,800 individuals, and they become the status of near threatened. And then again, there are, after post-tsunami, it has seen that their population has declined, their habitat also impacted a lot. 90% of coastal habitat also destroyed, and there are also alteration in their demography, so they have put into vulnerable. But again, after another 8-10 years of study, now these long-tailed macaques are considered as an endangered primate. So we started our journey to this island, and this was really beautiful habitat to see. But we didn't have any information about this monkey, where they found. We have seen some places there, but again, inside forest, we had no idea. And the problem is, another problem was after tsunami, most of the forest routes were closed. So it was very difficult for us postally do survey and all. And apart from that, there was definitely, I would like to talk about Iceland syndrome, staying, longer time in small island with only few people and nothing to do. Sometimes it's emotionally very and mentally very challenging. But this search began, and we are hopeful and we are spirited to collect some data. Our data shows here that population is recovering. So here in this map, I'll talk, simplify it. This one is a study which is done in 2000. And this one, the data of a study which is done in 2006, just after 2004, actually it's conducted in 5. So just after tsunami, what is the situation? It is pre-tsunami. And this one is the data of our study, what we have found. And it is a post-tsunami recovery phase we consider. So if you see here, that you'll see that mean group size was decreased after tsunami, which got increased. Male-female size, means adult individual size, was suddenly increased after tsunami, which may be due to the death of immature individual. But again, we see that immature individual number increased in this recovering phase, as well as the adult female and adult male ratio also decreased, which is stabilizing, and immature to adult female ratio, which is telling about the productivity, means how many immatures are there in a group. All of these are considered within a group, how this condition is. So from this, you can see that the population is recovering, and they have a higher reproductive output. You can see from it. So Nicobar, like other macaques, Nicobar long-tailed macaque also live in a hierarchical society with female phylopatry. So hierarchical society means there is a linear hierarchy, alpha, beta, gamma. You people might have heard of it. And male and female have different hierarchy. It is not the same hierarchy between male and female. Male have different hierarchy, female have different hierarchy. Why it is? Because females are philopatric. They live in their society. If a female infant born, it will be staying with mother. But if a male born, when it becomes sabata, it will disperse, move away from the group. And all the adult male found in the groups are from coming immigrated from other groups. And we found that they compete for mainly food and mate choice, and the competition also within group and between. We have seen that to become a dominant male, the adult males fight a lot. We have seen outer group adult males challenges the leader or the so-called alpha of a male of a group. And after repetitive challenge, it finally toppled the alpha, and there were a lot of consequences. The dynamics of the group changed, and the old alpha, it got wounded severely and finally died, and new alphas slowly become socially accepted. It's competition not only found within the group, between group competition also there. Since these macaque groups are territorial, though territory overlap between two groups, and fight happens in these overlap zones. They fight for foods, sometimes also they fight for mates. But interestingly, we have seen they decided very cleverly. Suppose there is a two group, one is a small group, one is a bigger group. Or while they are fighting, suppose for a fruiting tree. So we have seen that the intent of the small group is higher while they are fighting for fruiting tree rather than patch which is not that much productive or that much food resources there. And also we have seen that number of male participant of a fight and number of individual in a fight also decide the intention of opponent group to getting fight. Means if in some group there are 8 males and other group 4 males, they are generally unlikely to go for fight. But again, if food resource is higher, is in stake, then they'll go for fight. So it's a complex but very interesting phenomena. So they are the smart monkeys. They're one of the few monkeys who have learned how to open coconut, both the tender coconut as well as the how to dehusk coconut, mature coconut, and break its hard shell. They also have learned to use tool to process their food. I should say that Nicobar long-tailed macaque is the only Indian macaque species who use tools. They both manufacture and use tool. Here in this photograph, you can see that a macaque by cutting off small saplings, it's preparing it for tool, and then it's using on a food material to process. And interestingly, they do teeth flossing. If some food stuck in between their teeth, they use thread-like structure. It may be grass blade, or here in case of it is a wire to clean their teeth. It's very interesting indeed. Here there is a small video which was done by Mongabe. So I'd like to start this one. It's a very short video. It's upon our study on the on the extractive foraging behavior of these monkeys. Please listen.
দুর্গাপুর থেকে।
Thank you. Now we can start the interaction session. If anybody has any question, please go ahead.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
There was a question in the chat box from Prajwal.
Okay, let me check.
People, I do not understand what he means by that.
Yes, I'll read it. Okay, I'll just stop sharing. Thank you. People opinion urban macaques are being a serious disturbance. What can be done for the mitigation of macaque human in urban landscape? Yeah, very interesting questions, and it is very obvious question also because we can see. Just I have told it. Urban area, what is happening now? Previously, in urban landscape, were connected with the other areas, and there were plenty vegetations were there for primates to harbor. That is one reason. Now, all these things are cut off. If we talk about Bangalore city, we'll see that bonnet macaque are only in the some pockets are there. Even all the small population, they are not connected. And it is a concern for bonnet macaque population. I believe after a few decades, maybe it will be very difficult as to, most of this small population which are in this small pocket, they won't be able to survive in this struggle. Second thing is what we told that in India, we have a religious and social relationship with primates. We always try to relate ourselves with the different structure of our religious aspect with primates, where we do one thing, provision, providing them food. While you are providing them food, again, what I have discussed earlier, that the behaviors are getting changed because nobody gets food in free in animal world. And when you are giving them food once, so they expect anytime you as a resource of food, you yourself is a resource of food. And whenever they will say food in human being, they will aggressively try to get it. And there is no, that much of solution apart from translocation. Because translocation, one thing we have to understand. So, where you have to translocate them? So, bonnet macaque, they in Bangalore, if we talked about, they are commensal macaque. They live near to human, not in deep forest. Deep forest, there are few population, but again, they have different kind of mechanism adaptation. But if you put this macaque, translocate to this urban macaque to other rural or sorry, other forest habitat, I don't know how they will try adapt and all. There are big question mark. But another one thing is, from city you cannot put them and throw them to the village, because then they again will be the problem of the villagers. So to uh, solve my problem, I am giving them to making them other problem that shouldn't be there. But if translocation is possible, and forest department can identify some that kind of spot and continuously monitor them, I think it will work. Thank you.
So our next question is from Naina. Is there any migration for primates due to climate change?
First of all, so far the changes we have seen in climate change, large-bodied mammals like primates is not really that much getting affected on that. Their habitat is getting truly affected. That will affect them, but in a lifetime of a primate, suppose it's few years, 20 years, that is not happening. And migration with primate don't migrate from a longer journey. Within their small territory, from one group to another group, they migrate. And that is the problem. No? The fragmentation is happening. So primate cannot migrate a lot in distance. So in small fragment population primates, they are suffering, and slowly they are getting locally extinct. So what I believe here, I'll say just in that way, direct on their physiology, there is no impact of climate change. So far, I haven't seen or I haven't heard.
Hello, Arijit sir.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please call me Arijit. Yeah,
okay.
That's fine.
So my first question is, like, if we see two things. First, the primates, which have a very narrow geographical distribution and are territorial in nature, thus it is okay to say that only due to human and primate conflict their population is declining, or due to their territorial nature? Because if you are in territorial in nature and your population is going to increase, you have to increase your overall geographical area. But like you said, like majority of the primates, like some of them prefer moist deciduous forest, so they are not going to find it all over India. So either they have to expand their territory, or they have to lose their territorial nature. So is this thing is right, or only like the conflict and other things are impacting their population decline?
First of all, conflict is a result. And conflict is not a cause. Conflict is a result of human-primate interaction. And why human-primate interaction is happening, what I'm telling. Now, suppose a primate, for thousands years and millions years, they are living in a habitat. Suppose I am talking about a very general specialist primate like per se lion-tail macaque. So lion-tail macaque used to live in the moist evergreen forest, and it was there in the Western Ghat, total Western Ghat. Now there, Palakkad Gap is there definitely, but now what is happening? The Western Ghat is getting fragmented, and while it is getting fragmented, the connectivity, it was one population, or maybe there was two populations in southern part of Palakkad Ghat and northern part of Palakkad Ghat. So these two populations now become more fragmented, because due to tea estate, due to encroachment, due to urbanization, all this thing, what I'm talking about, all this thing, modification of their habitat, degradation of their habitat, alteration of their habitat, all of this thing happening due to anthropogenic activities. And that's why population are getting, there are different evolutionary pressure is upon them now. So now this population are getting declining. So naturally they're declining, that's different. Naturally, if only natural succession is happening on this habitat, which is we have seen that kind of distribution in only in Madagascar. That's why so much leopard diversity in Madagascar. Apart from that, in Indian subcontinent, other area, if you're talking about, then there is no natural succession is happening. The change of landscape, what is happening, that is due to Anthropocene. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have one more question.
Yes, please
Like
go ahead.
the interaction that the most common primates obviously we see is apart from the humans are the macaques. And in your one of the slide you showed that the rhesus macaques are pushing towards the south and bonnet's macaque are shrinking. So is this can be one reason like the rhesus macaques are adapting fast with comparison to bonnet macaques due to their interaction with humans?
But again, you see, rhesus macaque also live in forest and human-dominated area. But bonnets are one of the longest living primate species in India, who we call the commensal primate species. They can live with human being. But when you're there is coming the competition between those species. So that time for these broad bodies, comparatively broad bodies rhesus has a upper hand because they are aggressive as well. And another one thing is due to the bonnet and rhesus population was separated for a longer period because of some natural Narmada river and natural barriers. But now another one thing is human also sometimes carried some animals and keep them pet, and also the monkey catchers, they translocate them one place to another place. So that is also one reason why rhesus macaques are coming to the areas which were earlier inaccessible towards them. But it is mostly both animals they are adapted. But yeah, while it's talking about competition also and species trait, aggression, and also maybe in one cases you might be right that their ability to cope with other habitat as well might be issue, but it is a species trait most of the cases. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Richa this side.
Yeah.
So I'm a wildlife biologist and I have a question regarding this. Actually, I'm working in Chhattisgarh, and here like forest department is they want us to do something in that like langurs are coming in the city and like they are snatching foods and like they're coming inside the houses. So is there anything like we can do in that situation to control that situation actually?
So langur are coming inside city, Richa. That means, does that mean that previously they were not there? Or they have. So now you told that langur are coming inside city. Previously, langur's distribution was not inside city. That I would like to know.
Yeah, actually, in recent 10 years, like they are facing this issue.
Again, then first of all, what we can do is stop provisioning. Definitely, there are some places where provisioning is still a major issue. And second thing, we have seen that in Delhi, how they are handling. Again, I always believe translocation is not a way. Rather than commensalism or tolerance is the only way, because ultimately why these animals are behaving like, not in such way, because they have an immense amount of pressure on them, and that pressure is due to human activity one way or another.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So first we have to understand one thing, that some cases we have to convince people also that this is the way to live, because commensal way to live, tolerance should be there. And second, if translocation is possible, translocation. But if you are not stopping changing human to primate behavior, slowly it will decrease, definitely. If no provisioning is happening, if human is not entertaining animal, if there is no open garbage bin from where or other areas from where this animal can get free human source food, then within few years, definitely the scenario will get changed. It will get decreased. Maybe there will be some problems or that kind of interaction, but the interaction will change. We have seen that other places outside India, after taking these measures, things happen.
So what if we'll provide some food inside that forest patches only? So would it be helpful?
Not at all, not at all. You see, if resource increase, members also increase because resource though heterogeneous, but the group formed because they have their territory and within that territory they have their food. So in forest, when you give the food, two things will happen first. Theoretically, first the group size will increase, and then productivity also will increase, reproductive, and they will start splitting. And since they have a aware of human source food, so they might again slowly the fringe village area they will invade, and slowly again the same story. And another one thing, what kind of food you are talking about? Primates, we even don't know. Though in enclosure we give them food, but naturally there are a bigger, wider variety of food these animals have, and
Yeah, sir.
so
Yeah,
I will
actually
never
here
suggest
they
that.
are eating. They are eating anything, like they are snatching chips from shops like that. So like that.
Exactly. What I told you earlier and during this discussion also. This is again how we have interacted with them earlier. The response to that things that happen, because these all things it is happening in last 20 years, right? 15, 20 years. Before that, there
Yeah, sir.
was not that much conflict.
Yeah.
Only carnivore and some fringe area conflicts were there, but human wildlife conflict last 20, 30 years, 20 years, it has increased like anything. But why it has increased? Because humans' behavior towards animal and this kind of human-animal interface has expanded within last 50 years. And there was 20 years of lag period when animals are, adapting this thing. And slowly now it is the peak form when they have learned already. And when all as we are talking about primates, they are the most intellectual and cognitively capable animal who can learn it quickly, even within their lifetime. So that is the major problem with primates, because they can very quickly, within a couple of years, maybe sometime couple of months, they can adapt with different kind of thing, different kind of mitigation measures what you are using, and they try to avoid them. Sometimes the live snakes, sometimes the snake people use, dogs people use, for macaques, langur people use, but after some time again they become adaptive, and with their magical mind they try to avoid it. Thank you. But I will never,
So
promote this feeding
uh,
in forest area.
so one more thing, like I wanted to ask, like I had an idea, like I want to ask, like what is it helpful? Like what if we'll create a pit like in city area only, where we can like give food, maybe anything from the houses or anything. So will it be a good idea? Like if we'll create a pit and we'll just throw things inside that, so that then that they will be like in one area only.
Not at all. Just I told, if you give them food, then they will think they will get taste of human source food. So they will understand about human source food. And human source food, when they are understanding and they are saying that you are giving them food, that means that you are the source, you become the source of food. All human being there, they will see, they will do it. And all the macaque from the forest and around area, when they'll see that so much food are there, they'll come and it
Yes,
will
sir.
increase.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, welcome.
So next question is from Tanzim.
Yes.
So it's a three-part question. First one is, as there is climate change happening with recent times, is there any effect on primate behavior, or is there any chance of evolution of primates related to behavior, preferences of landscape or food, etc.? I think we covered this already, so we'll just skip this one. The next question is there any divergent primate evolutionary chart?
Yes, this is there. And here we just talk about very basic primate evolution, where we talked about the major group of primates, and mostly the extant primate species, not the extinct primate species. And again, if we come to the human evolution, it is really other way. There are several lectures we might need to conduct to understand it. So yeah, it's available in internet also. In primatology, there are lots of free literature you will get. And if you need any help for specific something, please write to me. I think these people, they have my email ID with them. They'll let you know. And the third question, yeah.
So
I can
what
read
are
out loud.
the behavioral differences one can see in captive and natural environment?
A lot. It depends on species. It depends on individual. It depends on how they are getting reared. A species, so stereotypical behavior. Mostly those are stereotypical behavior because which are solitary primates. So though they are solitary, they also interact with other primate species and other species. And when group living primates are there, there is healthy interaction, both affiliative and aggressive between individuals. In exposure, within enclosure, the interactions always mostly differ than outside exposure. Suppose within exposure, there are investment in time for foraging. It's very small, right? Few minutes. We give them food, that's it. But if you see in forest, for suppose macaque, the foraging activity capacity is very high. And also in reproduction, if you see how is the composition of the again within exposure, there is no risk or chance of inter-group encounter, fighting or competition between two groups. So again, so these are there. So there are a lot of variables are there. Lot you can talk about.
Okay, so next question is from Kevalya. How do we educate or aware people to save them and their habitats in urban areas?
Urban areas, their habitat, I think it is next to impossible, because
Sorry, and their habits in urban areas.
oh, sorry. Their habits in urban areas. In their habitats, in urban area, the problem is again that's the problem. Their habitats are shrinking, and there is not very only a few pockets are there. And only there are some temples, there are some university or institute or areas where there are some greeneries. So I believe some in such that kind of some significant pockets, primates will be there. But if human primate interaction is not that much deleterious, that much aggressive, the tolerance level is high. So I believe monkey will also able to survive there. We have seen that rhesus macaque are surviving. There is no tree. They are roosting in concrete housings and shades, human-made shades and all. The first, I think the main important thing is that changing people's attitude. First is people behavior towards macaques, both aggressive and affiliative. They don't need to be affiliated with macaques. They don't need to give them food. They don't need to allow them in front of their houses. And second is also negative behavior. They shouldn't, always become irritated to see these monkeys and always feel about their all negative interaction what they're having. If this is, we can stabilize it, then maybe in some places monkey, because they are very much adaptive and very much flexible with their behavioral adaptation, so they'll be able to. Thank you.
So next question is from Kimaya. Is there any study done to reduce or control human-primate conflict?
Yes, a lot of study has done and is doing. We are also doing in some cases. Suppose in Nicobar, we did a study to understand. We also did a study. One of our friends also did a study to understand human-primate impact and why. So people told us generally there is one thing you have to understand, that people perceive something, which is actual perception, and one is people's how they have hyped perceptions. Huh? This is not actual at all. So if you ask somebody in there, they'll say, "Yeah, to dunia bhar ka bandar hai. There are lots of monkeys here." But if you go there, you'll only find few group of monkeys there. So what is the situation? There are many studies there. I think you will find it on internet and on different issues, human primate interaction, what people's tolerance level towards monkeys, how frequently monkeys come to in their habitat, and what is the actual loss and what is the concept loss. In perceived loss or actual loss, is there any difference? If people what they are thinking actually that much loss is happening due to primate conflicts, there's this and that. So you'll get it on internet, or you can connect with me. I can give you some that kind of research. I can see that Anupama M has raised hand. Anupama, please go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi, sir. This was a really interesting talk. I would have to say, I did learn quite a few things. And so I just had two questions. The first question being, so regarding the distribution of the different species of, all the primates in India, it could be wrong, but I felt that the species that were mostly distributed in the northeast region of India are like very restricted in that region. You don't see those species in the other parts of India. So I was just wondering, has there been any such events in the past, or like some sort of a biogeographical barrier that is sort of, dictating how these are distributed in that region?
Yes, definitely. But in northeast part of India, we can see that India is international bounded into Myanmar, to Bangladesh, and to China. But most of the species are also widely distributed in northeast India, beyond northeast part of India. And they are in those areas what we have those animals are distributed, those are moist evergreen forest, right? So if you can see that two distinct moist evergreen patch in India, one is northeast India, another in Western Ghats, and also you can
Right.
see in Andaman Nicobar region. That's different, that's totally separate.
Mhm.
So yeah, while evolution happened, when this natural succession happened, definitely these two habitat become changed, and ultimately this according to the habitat species evolve. So both you can see the commonness between the Northeast Indian hotspot and Western Ghat Sri Lanka hotspot, because both are what it called moist evergreen forest.
Okay. Okay. So the second question that I had was mainly concerning the last point that you took up about the Nicobar langurs, and so I just want your general comment on how this behavior of tool use, or like manufacturing tool use, has evolved, and why is it restricted to, like, as far as I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, like the behavior of making tools and using them has been mostly documented in apes, if I'm not wrong. But here you're talking about a monkey using tool now. So like just a general comment about how this could have happened, and what exactly drives an evolution where it leads to uh, a species like using tools.
First of all, these questions, we are still studying the searching sensor. Okay, so I'll say, yeah, apes are mostly and very promptly they use tools for diverse reasons, both foraging and non-foraging. Apart from apes, other macaque species we have seen tool use, but those are very sporadic, not a population-wide, but only long-tail macaque. Long-tail macaque, once again, long-tail macaque species. Nicobar long-tail macaque is a subspecies of long-tail macaque. Long-tail macaque is distributed in all over Southeast Asia. They have around 9 subspecies. So apart from Nicobar long-tail macaque, another two subspecies, they also use tools. But in their cases, the tool use is different. What they do, they crack open barnacles and seashells by small rocks which are found in the coastal region, like hammer, which we have seen in apes, and also apart from apes, you will see New World monkey, capuchins. They also commonly you'll see there are some population they use tool. And about this tool is, I'll say not all ape species they use it. Sorry, suppose chimpanzee use tool, but not all chimpanzee population all over the Africa they used to. There are some certain population used to. So some population use, suppose some stick to fish termites. Some population use some pounding hammer or axe to crack open some nut. And some population use both of two. Some population even neither use any of this. Why this is? Again, if you see, there is two pan species. One is chimpanzee, another is bonobo. Chimpanzee used tool, but bonobo didn't. So what is the variant is there? So we're studying it. There are some hypotheses about their species characteristics as well as their adaptability, but nothing clear yet. That is the thing. And for when we're talking about primate, but it is mostly if you see about long-tailed macaque, Nicobar long-tailed macaque has separated from other long-tailed macaque subspecies about 1.5 million years ago. And these tool-use adaptations are quite new, not that first, very new actually.
Right.
So that way, they have some species characteristic, and we can say two things. Opportunity, they has an opportunity to do that one. And second is their ecological necessity. Means coconuts are very abundant, maybe suppose. So if we talk about this coconut sporadic behavior, coconut are very abundant and they are resource rich, and suppose easily available, and rather than other food, it is easy to invest time in coconut. Maybe for that reason they have learned eating coconut. But we have seen some videos in Southeast Asia. Stump-tailed macaque is used to catch, to harvest coconut, but never stump-tailed macaque eat coconut, forage on it. So it's really interesting that way. Thank you for asking this question anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, can I extend the question that Anupama asked?
Yeah, please.
Like you have mentioned, the tool use is observed in like some patch of a population, not in the entire population. So it's an indication that they are learning these things independently, not by watching the humans or anything. So if it can be wrong if I extend this uh, like us humans, we come down from the tree and we were not arboreal anymore. Same thing macaques are doing. They are now not that much of arboreal. Second thing, we have learned an independent tool use. They are also doing the same thing. So are they following the same path of evolution that we have followed, and we expect them that after thousands of years they are going to able to use the fire as well?
Again, as I've told you earlier about evolution, this is more unlikely thing. Evolution is happening in a different way. In macaque and human has a very long common ancestor around 20 million years ago. And in chimpanzee, we have, only 1.53 million years ago, we had ancestor, the common ancestor. From there, we have divided. So chimpanzee also started doing this from that time, okay, from when humans started tool using. But why chimpanzees tool use has not improved yet. Just recent study found that 1.5 million years ago, from that time, New World monkeys, some capuchin, they're using stone tool. Still, why it has not evolved? There are some restrictions, there are some barriers. That much a species can do, and maybe not beyond that. Maybe there is some that kind of genetic barrier or a genetic capacity of human which promoted them to become such a commensurate tool user. and it is very unlikely that these species will do that. Maybe some, after I don't know how many years India human will live, and that trajectory and human evolution will go away. But we are seeing that in modern, from primitive human, how modern human has evolved, and the surviving race, means us Homo sapiens. They are also some way we are changing, right? Our molar teeth and our vestigial organs, things are getting changed. So the evolution is happening within us also, but it will be very unlikely to say that that way they are coming through, because evolution is a random. What happened? A random trait proliferate. When it will proliferate? Only when it will get selected by natural selection, when it will get favored by the environment. So some traits, if we get favored by the environment, the directionality will change. But the evolution, it's a random process. Okay, there are several traits. Among them, one get favored, which one become competent to that environment, others are not, and they get extinct. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
May I
please.
ask my question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, hello, I am Timaya. I have done my education in wildlife biology, during which I have worked with Central Himalayan langurs. And I have observed this there, not only in the Himalayan region, but also in the Western Ghats, that langurs usually they raid entire crop. So, entire field, they raid entire field, and that is the main reason why we have the langur and farmers conflict. And also there is one specific time of the day when they raid entire field. So according to you, are there any protective measures or any measures that could reduce this thing?
Thank you. So you have done a lot of work, right? You have understood their pattern. So when we understand the pattern, it is easy. Suppose for a farmer, it's very difficult to monitoring every day, every time the langur population. But if it knows that this time these animals are coming, so that monitoring can be implemented in there, means focusing on monitoring on that time. And yes, langoustine, they are polyborous. Generally, when they raid on crop, they started eating from one side to another side, not like macaque, they eat this, that, that, that. If langur get, rapid fruit or that kind of nearly mature crop, they will eat it. So this is the area where if they are living in these areas and the pattern you have found, I think you should use this pattern in some way to do that one. First, definitely the cropping pattern, which exactly what fields the go for reading, or we call it very gently crop foraging, go for crop foraging, and then how far away from their natural habitat or their roosting site they go for the crop foraging. So maybe you can do one thing, you can ask the local people to change the crop rotation time or change the crop type sometime. So it's depending on the farmer and the land quality, as well as the pattern of interaction and frequency of interaction, that what kind of measure you can take. And there is no easy rule of thumb solution. But you have done a lot of work, so I think you can think of it, and it'll be a better judge for you rather than me. But if you
Thank
discuss something later on, we can discuss definitely.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So we have a few more questions in the chat box that
Yeah,
we'll
please.
cover before wrapping up the session.
Yeah, sure.
So the next question is from Prajwal. Smaller primates like lorises are solitary, while higher primates are social. Is there any evolutionary reason behind that?
Again, higher primates usually go for the apes. Smaller apes are pair bonding. Larger apes are group living, and in macaques there are female phallopatry, where I told that female stay in group. But you see chimpanzee, male stay in the group, male phylopatry, female go ahead from the group. And yes, definitely there are the evolutions, social evolutions is happening, and multiple time it happened. And for multiple radiation, it has happened multiple times. Social evolution and also sexual evolution, both, because sexual evolution another thing which increase or decrease the competition between intersex and intersex competition, that also lead to change in evolution. And not a single factor always leads to evolution. There are multiple socio-cultural factors, and yes, that has changed quite a some time, not a single time, thereby corrected, not the small way. But again, if you see the Tarsiers, because Lorises we talk about, but Tarsiers, they are group living, Lemurs, they are group living. So evolution happened, but different way, cultural evolution, social evolution. Thank you.
Next
Hello,
question.
sir.
Yeah, hi.
So I'm Prajwal, sir. I asked the question you explained
Yeah,
before.
yeah, please tell me.
So my question is like that. So what was the reason for that Loris being solitary? And we see like nocturnal mammals are usually solitary.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what would the reason in a generalized way that nocturnal mammals are solitary and other mammals are group living most probably?
Nocturnal mammals, not all are solitary, I guess, but again, if you talk about primates, if you see their evolution, both that's all the nocturnal mammals, they are not solitary. That's why I told that tarsier are nocturnal animal, guagos are nocturnal animal, and lorises are nocturnal animal. Lorises are solitary where they are not. There are nocturnal lemurs who are not. And I am not quite sure about the specific reason for the sociocultural, that kind of social evolution, because since we don't know their parental radiation and in which climate they were there, it's very difficult. But if you say in check about the Madagascar, we're talking about why we're interested in primate evolution in Madagascar. Actually, Madagascar, where it was in Pangaea time when all landmass were together, it was sandwiched in between India and Africa, right? Then slowly it moved and it placed beneath Africa. But after it moved there, 65 million years ago, it happened like the primate evolution. So there was no primates in Madagascar. Then what happened that during the lemur evolution, some lemur species tripped, lemur individual maybe tripped away, come to Madagascar. And apart from Madagascar, no other places you will see lemur, because the next superior primates who were there, the extent lemur are the extinct species there. Lemur were there. Lemur fossil is found in all over Southeast Asia, Southeast Asia, and America, Latin America, but not no living species is found there. So when the species lives there, they started radiating within that large island, and some become nocturnal, some become diurnal, because the niche competition. Mainly, what happened, there are some traits. What I am talking about, there are some traits. So when one species is living there, so if the species have multiple traits, so there is some trait, some subpopulation of some trait. If they are doing good in this environment, they proliferate, and slowly, they isolate from the main group, and how speciation happen, and that way radiation happen. It is for each case the environment, which ultimately leads to that kind of evolutionary separation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You read about Madagascar, because I told you about Madagascar, because since that is the area where primate introduced by themselves naturally, and the radiation you will see, so then you can understand, right, what is happening in Madagascar. That is not longer regulation. One of the extinct, what is the extinct species in all of the other primate distributed region, that species is proliferating in Madagascar. Now 151 species are there. So the radiation within this time, it's also interesting. And if you are more interested with that, he also had checked the cichlids evolution. And since our time is up, I don't want to drag it. Thank you. I'm sorry we cannot explain it. Yeah, please go ahead. Next question.
Yeah. So next question is there any opportunity where we can engage and know more about this magnificent species, practically like as an intern or a volunteer?
Currently, my all projected over, but there are other people, and I would like to tell all of you what I haven't told. I was about to tell, but I skipped my mind. That is, now there is an organization what we are doing that's called AIP, Association of Indian Primatologists. It's an organization which all these scientists, researchers, and newcomers and enthusiasts are together. It is a platform for all of us, all of you who are interested. Please go to our website and join us. We have a also WhatsApp group where we exchange infos. And apart from that, if you have any interest, you can also explain there. Please go to the Indian Primatologist Association of Primatologists website and register by putting your email ID. And we'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you for that. Our next question is from Nandana. Going forward, what solution would you propose to improve the chances for primates in the wild?
The fact is, we cannot increase the wild cover. What is there, we have to conserve it. We have to make sure that the area, the wild cover or protected area cover, which are there, is there. And 80% of primate area, if you see human dominated area, that's fine. Now we have to see two things. No encroachment to this protected areas, no illegal advancement towards this also. Oh, and second is in these fringe areas, there some awareness as well as stabilize the tension between human and primates, and ask human to behave responsibly towards primates. That is the only way. So fringe area, if you are covering, the expansion is not happening, and all over that other area, what we can do, that's change people attitude towards it. That's only we can do. Not thank you.
Okay.
Though it's depressing, but yeah, it's true.
So next question is from Neha. So which area, according to you, has a literature gap in studies related to primates?
All these areas, because primate study, as I told you, that any one species, if you see in chimpanzee, there are hundreds of PhDs has been done in chimpanzees. We 4 people did our PhD on a single primate species, so different aspects. We, when we do study primates, we don't only study their taxonomy. We study their behavior, and each and behavior have different aspects. And we study the variability. We see them as a species, as different group, as individual, even within individual variability also we check. So it's very wide and vast. And if you have any specific interest on any kind of diversion of primatology, we can discuss this later. Please contact me.
Okay. So next question is also from Neha. Is there any study conducted on the effectiveness of mitigation measures that humans take to avoid crop loss by primates? And have any of these measures proven effective considering the adaptive nature of some primates?
Yes, there are some studies, but and report mostly. So in outside India it is, but in India there are few. But the problem is again that when the measures are second, animals get adapted. Primates are very intelligent, and their capacity of cognitive process is high. So very easily they understand it. Sorry.
Yeah. So we'll take our last question for today now. That is from Shakti. Can you provide reading resources that we can read about, like distribution, revolution, or assessment, etc.?
Okay, I'll suggest some resources. So I'll do one thing within a couple of days. Next week, I'll make a list and I will send it to Sneha, Nature Sai, and if possible, please circulate this one.
Yeah, sure. That would be great. So, okay, so we have one more question from Sundaram. How to affect inbreeding depression of the rhesus macaque?
I don't think there is that much inbreeding depression in rhesus macaques since they are widely distributed and connected habitat from India to Pakistan to Bangladesh to Afghanistan and even some part of China and Southeast Asia. And most of the population is connecting to each other. And they are quite wider population. I think they have good habitat heterogeneity.
Okay. Thank you. So I think we have covered all the questions.
Sir, can I ask one more thing? It can be the last question.
Yeah, please.
Like the question that was previously asked, that what is the reason like some smaller primates are like solitary? So what I think is that being in a group is a result of like a defense, and a majority of solitary primates are usually found in a Madagascar island that is isolated. And one more thing is like for being nocturnal and solitary, this can be considered as like a lot of evolution of primates are shaped because of co-evolution with poisonous snakes. And Madagascar as an island, it lacks poisonous snakes or that much venom. So that can be a reason like they avoided being coming in a group because they had no threat of the snakes and all the other primates like from Africa and Asia, they were exposed to snakes, so that's why they formed a group. And especially the evolution of eyesight, like the Madagascar primates, they have a very low eyesight and they are nocturnal, while the Africans and the Asiatic primates, they have a good eyesight also. So this can be one of the reasons like why some primates are in social groups and some usually prefer to live in solitary life. Obviously, except the orangutans.
I don't think so, because if you say that not only primates, other mammals, if you think so, in mammals also there are nocturnal, there are group living mammals. And group living not only for the defense, it has some benefit like defense and also the if animals are living in group, the group living competition increase. Inter-individual scramble competition increase. That changes the group society itself in different way. The hierarchy is there, but hierarchy is not there. So as I told you that in different environment, different habitat, a trait might get, yeah, somewhere maybe some snake may help as a inducer effect, but that is not enough to do that one. There will be multiple effect on that. And in primates, group living primates, because they are a social evolution, by socially doing so, if they are getting benefit. But in when we're talking about Indian hula gibbons, they are pair living and they are generally monogamous for their life. So why being a higher primates also they become monogamous? And again, the other radiation of that, if you see orangutan, they are not, gorillas are not. So there is no such simple explanation. So what I just told you earlier also, that we have to understand that what could be the reason. Definitely, what are the all reason you have listed, maybe some of that have accounted for it, but not that way in it's very straight lining way. There are multiple states, because apart from snake is not enough stimuli to or enough factor to make a primate social habitat change. That I'll say. Thank you.
I think we are done with all the questions.
Great.
So I would like to take this opportunity to give to thank you, sir. It's a great honor to propose this vote of thanks to all those who have helped us in making this workshop a success. And on behalf of the Nature's Eye, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Mr. Arijit Pal, for the excellent session on primates and for making this session such a meaningful and interesting one. So thank you, sir. And I would also like to thank all the participants because all of you have been very interactive throughout, and it's really great to hear about all of this from young wildlife biologists right now and how you are also trying to give your best for wildlife. So thank you, everyone. And so as we are coming to an end, I request all the participants, if you're comfortable, if you could please switch on your camera so we could have a group screenshot for today's session. Anybody who's comfortable, please switch on the cameras. Okay, so I'll click the picture now. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so much, sir, for making this such a wonderful session. And so there were some questions from the participants asking if the recording would be shared or not. So we will share the recording of the session. I think it will take a day or two, but the session will be uploaded on YouTube and the link will be shared with all of you. So that's all. Thank you so much, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.